Hello everyone and welcome to Brave Souls Utility Guide Episode 2. This time I'll be doing the first squad of the 13 Core Guard squads, and that includes Shojiro, Yama, and 2 of the Shunsuis. Now I will also be doing a squad 8 and, every other squad, where I will include the rest of the Shunsuis, Nanao, and Lisa, because she was technically a part of that squad. And I'll probably throw these 2 in there as well, just to kind of have a full list of Shunsuis. But that Shunsui, both those Shunsuis are both members of Squad 1 because he becomes the head captain, so I figured I'd throw him in here. If you don't know what the show is, I basically take the characters you see on screen right now and put them into one of these categories, one or more of these categories. If they don't fit any of them, I'll put them under orbs and links only. This is not a tier list, this is not a top 10 list or anything like that. This is just kind of to help out people who are new to the game or, who have questions about what's good for what. Now we're starting with Shojiro. I believe his name is Shojiro. He's the one name I can't remember. In this show, or in the manga, you don't really see him do anything. It's later explained he's actually really strong, but let's just say you don't get to see him do anything the entire run, and leave it at that. In the game, though, he does have a charge move. He does have decent range on his strong attacks. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any good multipliers. He has strong attack damage link, but no frenzy. I do think that when he gets resurrected, he's going to be a very, very strong character. But right now, I think he's only really good for orbs and links. So we're going to go ahead and work with me. There we go. We're going to go ahead and put him here. Next up, we have the OG Yama, Power Yama. This guy, he's not good. He was one of my very first 5 stars. I think he was actually my very first 5-star. But he's just not a good character. Even his secondary link, I believe, is not great. I don't even remember if he has Frenzy or not. I just know that if you have him, he's really just good for orbs, and that's about it. So we're going to put him right here as well. Next up, we have Tech Yama, who came out also the first year of the game. Like the other one, not as good. Does have better range on his strong attacks. Does actually have a decent killer. Can inflict debilitating status elements. I think it's debilitating status elements. I just know that because of his range, he's not great. You can use him in some stuff, but he can't really auto anything. He can't really do much of anything. So we're also going to drop him over here where he's happy and safe for orbs only. Also, he doesn't have any useful links. I think they're both status reduction soul traits. So it's not a good character. Next up, we have the Heart Yama. So this guy's actually kind of weird, because the character itself isn't good. He's not a great character. He's got a bad killer. He doesn't have that great range on his strong attacks. But I'm actually gonna put him in orbs and links only, but I'm also gonna drop him in another one of these categories, because while he may not be a good character, it doesn't mean he's not useful if you're in a bind. If you're having trouble taking out a boss, he's actually a pretty decent boss killer. He's got a Vortex move, strong attack 2, and he's got Frenzy when resurrected. I don't know if he has Frenzy before, I can't remember. But he does have Frenzy and a Vortex move, strong attack 2. He can inflict debilitating burn on all of his attacks. But that Frenzy, Vortex move, strong attack 2 will come in handy if you are up against a boss and you just can't beat him. But that said, I will say that you should probably only use him if you absolutely need it, like a boss killer. He also has an Espada killer, so if you're up against Espada specifically, then he's, if you're up against the boss Espadas, he might be a good choice for that. But other than that, he'd only be good for orbs and links only. So every now and then, I guess I'll do something like this where a character kind of fits into the orbs and links only category because they're not exactly good, but you can use them in very specific situations, like this guy. If you're having trouble with bosses, he can kind of come in handy. Next up, we have Tag Team Yama. So now. You'll notice this episode is going to be significantly shorter than the Ichigo one. That said, next episode might be actually significantly longer than the Ichigo one, because I'm doing Squad 2, which includes Soifon, Omaida, and Yoroichi, because she was a part of that as well. But yeah, that's planned for next week. Anyway, let's move on to Tag Team Yama here. Tag Team Yama is a really good character. He's got 2 killers, Soul Reaper and Hollow. He's also got a charge move, strong attack 3. And he's got debilitating burn on everything. So I'm not going to put him under clear time, because while you can clear inheritance zones and droplet zones relatively quickly if both the enemies are Soul Reapers and Arankars, it's kind of like you have to get it perfectly. And even then, the range on his attacks isn't that great. I mean, it's pretty good, but it's not, you know, there's no full screen or anything like that. But he is good against bosses, so I'm going to drop him in there. I'm actually going to put him up here. He's good against bosses because he has that charge move Strong Attack 2, or Strong Attack 3. And he's also got the debilitating burn. His Strong Attack 2 is also a hybrid vortex move. It hits a bit more times than the average Strong Attack, so you're more likely to inflict burn there. I'm also going to drop him in high damage because of that burn, and because of the charge move Strong Attack 3. So that's where this guy falls in. Who do we have next? Yes, okay. The Tech One-Armed Yama. So this guy was really good for PvP for the longest time. He still holds up there. Obviously, there's a lot better options now because abilities these days, am I right? Especially with Drugram, who's got he's power, he's got... Anyway, that's this guy is still good in PvP, to a point. You're obviously not going to be super competitive, but he's got Flurry, he's got a really high attack, debilitating burn on everything, and you're likely to inflict it with your normal attack because he hits twice. He's good for PvP. He's also good for autoing, so I'm going to... If I can get this to work, there we go. But I'm going to drop him over there as well. I'm also going to say he's kind of a boss killer just because of that Flurry, and because of the burn. You might get better, you know, a better result with Tag Team Yama because he can inflict more damage with his strong attacks, and the likelihood of inflicting burn is a little bit better with him. But it's still a pretty good option with One-Armed Yama. Plus his special, I believe, is a vortex move, so it can it doesn't last very long, but it can kind of trap enemies in that area for a little bit. Next up, we have the 1000-year Blood War version of Yama, the last Yama we've gotten so far. I do think we're eventually going to get a second version of 1000-year Blood War Yama. I hope we do, because we only see him use 2 of the 4 moves, I think, that we saw him use in the manga. But the character himself, really, really good. Super high SP, Frenzy, immunity to some, I think, freeze and burn, which is really good. I'm going to put him in clear time because his strong attacks have really good range. Full screen strong attack 3 and really good range on the other 2 strong attacks. He can also, you know, you don't have to, you can avoid being frozen, which is going to help with clear time as well. High damage, like I said before, this is only reserved to anyone who can do really impactful damage. He is better, obviously, than Tag Team Yama, but I'm not going to put him under high damage because you can't really hit very hard with one particular attack, and that's kind of what I'm going for when I mean high damage. Versus bosses, I'm also gonna not put him on here just because, I mean, technically he is, because he's got the debilitating burn on everything, but I don't think any of his attacks hit more than the average number of times, with the exception of his special, because it does leave behind a gigantic vortex move. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm gonna do it. It leaves behind a gigantic vortex move that's actually really good against bosses, because while they're being hit, they can't attack. And not to mention that, you know, they're being burned while you're doing this. So there's that. With that said, you can auto with him. I'm not going to put him in auto because it's kind of a, you have to build him in a specific way kind of thing to auto with him. And even then, you kind of have to get lucky. He does have the freeze and the burn immunity that kind of helps him. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to hope that he uses his strong attacks when he uses them, because you don't have no control of that when you're autoing. So that's about as far as we're going to put him with this. Okay, next up we have the Manga Shunsui, one of my favorite characters in this game. Really a fun character. He's got high SP, he's got Frenzy, he's got Havoc at 20, he's got a strong attack too that's actually really, really good. If it's close up, because it does a tremendous amount of damage at close range. It does push enemies back, but if you can pin them up against the wall, or if they're frozen or paralyzed, you can take out a boss relatively easily. Not to mention that his special also has a chance to instant kill, which you can definitely abuse in Senkaimon. We've all done it. So I'm going to pop him in versus bosses. Because, like I said, instant kill on bosses, and his strong attack 2 is really, really good on him. I'm also going to put him under clear time because, like I said, he's got that Havoc. You do kind of have to line up that strong attack 2 to get the most out of this. But at the end of the day, you still have 2 other strong attacks with really good range. Plus, he's got a decent attack for a high SP character and a plus 30 bruiser. I believe he also has long reach and a really fast normal attack, so you can actually rely on that. In fact, I've actually got a video where I basically supercharge his attack and just run with that, and it actually works out surprisingly well. I'm also going to put him under high damage because of that strong attack 2 that I mentioned. I have a video where I literally do a boss rush where they get taken out with each boss gets taken out with just a strong attack 2. It's pretty crazy. That said, that's about as far as I can put him. 3 spots out of the 6. Yeah, 6 available is pretty good. Next up, we have the Camp for Your Own World Shunsui. The newest Shunsui, the newest Squad 1 member. I should point out, I didn't put Nanao on here because she's Squad 8. I don't think we have a Squad 1 version of Nanao, with the exception of maybe Christmas Nanao. But it's not really specified just because, I mean, you can't tell. So I'm going to drop her in whenever I do the Squad 8 version of this, whatever this is. Utility Guide, that's the one. Alright, this one. One of my favorite characters to have come out in the recent times. I really enjoy using this guy. He's got a really high SP, he's got Frenzy, he's got really great range on his strong attacks, partially thanks to the Havoc at 20. He can also inflict Lacerate on everything, debilitating Lacerate, and he's got an ability that basically makes any damage you deal to lacerated enemies 40% more. So he's got Frenzy, Berserker at 20, and then an extra 40% if they're lacerated. This guy can deal a ton of damage, and his strong attack 2 is a hybrid vortex move. It hits multiple times. You're very likely to inflict laceration with it. The only problem with him is honestly his killer. It's not as common as other killers. Obviously, it's no affiliation killer. It's becoming more common now. We do have some inheritance zones, some droplet zones with it. We also have the events that we get. You know, every 2 weeks we get a new event. Some of those sometimes include no affiliation stuff. It's very common in Kaimon. Really, the only time you don't see it as much is in inheritance zones and droplet zones. While we do have some with them, you don't see them that much. Still, the character himself is really good. Like I said, can deal a ton of damage. I'm actually going to put him under clear time. This really only applies with clear time when it comes to going up against no affiliation characters. So it's kind of, you know, it is really fast, but you kind of have to be fighting a specific enemy. I'm also going to put him under high damage because he can inflict laceration, so that deals damage, and then when they're lacerated, his strong attacks deal 60% more damage, and then also magnifications with Frenzy is just ridiculous. So I'm also going to drop him under high damage. Versus bosses, I will say he's decent against bosses. He can kind of delay their strong attacks and their specials because of lacerations. That is kind of a double-edged sword because sometimes you want a boss to be in a specific area of the map, and if they're lacerated, they have enough time to get back at you before using their specials. I'm actually not going to put him under versus bosses. He's good against them, but I wouldn't say he is exceptionally equipped to handle them. He's about as good as any other PvE character against bosses, I would say. For support and crowd control, his strong attack 2 is pretty good for crowd control, but like I said, I wouldn't say he's exceptionally good at it. I'd say he's probably around as good as Tag Team Yama when it comes to the strong attack 2, because they're essentially the same thing. PvP, he's not good for it, and autoing, he's also not exactly good for it. That said, still an exceptional character, a really fun character. I absolutely love using this guy. But with that said, that's been episode 2 of this series, you guys. Thank you for watching. Your support for the first episode for Ichigo has been awesome. It's gotten a lot of views, more than I thought it would, so thank you guys so much for that. Like I said, next week I'm going to try to get Squad 2 that includes Soifon, Yoroichi, and then Omaida. If it becomes too crazy and chaotic and a lot of stuff, I might cut Yoroichi and do a separate list for her, because I know there's a lot of variants for her. Yeah, there's like 13 of her, or 14, I don't remember. There's kind of a lot. I might bump her in with Kisuke, but we'll see what happens next week. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, it's not a top tier list. It's not anything like that. It's just kind of to help out people who are new to the game or coming back after a while. So, you know, drop a like if you enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next one. Take care.